Forget anything you know about the FarmFolks I've covered here on the channel or anything you've heard about the game from more than a few months ago, because that FarmFolks is sadly dead. But the FarmFolks we're about to discuss is very, very much alive. If this is the first time you're hearing of this game, FarmFolks is an open-world 3D farm sim that I've covered on the channel a lot. In fact, this is my 31st video on it, and it was also my first game doing news-like coverage for, and one of the main reasons my channel is what it is today, giving it a special place in my heart. This game has come a long way since its original announcement, and has seen some drastic changes along the way, but none have been more impactful than Crytivo's acquisition of the game and their subsequent development of it. Today, I want to take some time to highlight some of the progress that has been made on this new version of the game, as it is completely different than what FarmFolks used to be, but honestly, it's pretty damn exciting, and I can't tell you how good it feels to be excited about this game once again. First off, the art style is completely different, and while in my eyes there was nothing wrong with the old one, this new style is really nice. I mean, just look at this piglet. How can you disagree? Not that a piglet defines an art style, but if it did, we'd be in great hands. The change in style over time, though, is probably best represented by the female playable character. Again, nothing was wrong with the old ones, in my opinion, minus the cartoony, childish concept art one that they had for a little bit, but I definitely do like the new style, even though it's still a bit rough around the edges. The animations that go along with that new style, however, are also still a bit rough around the edges and are very much a work in progress, as are all animations for that matter, so please don't judge them too harshly yet. The biggest change, however, has to be customization, because holy crap, does this game have a lot of customization options. Hair color? Check. Backpacks? Check. 1,000 times over? Check. From standard leather ones to burgers to unicorns, sharks, zebras, and beyond? Does it have outfits galore? Also check. I mean, I know this is just concept art, but there is some pretty good looking stuff here, if you ask me, with plenty more to come. Oh, and they even tweeted that you can also make yourself look like Jinx from League of Legends if you'd like. And don't even get me started on furniture. Not only can you change the color of pretty much everything, even using hex colors with savable color palettes for use later on, but patterns can also be changed, and there's a lot of them. The style of objects used can be modified, and wood trim color on objects made from wood can also be adjusted. Combine all of this together, and you've got one heck of a robust customization experience. And that's not all either. Items can also be resized, turning a love seat into a sofa, for example, or stretching a table lamp, placing it on the floor to turn it into a floor lamp. I realize this has already been done in games like Paralives and that it's not unique to FarmFolks, but who cares? It's a good system and we're happy to see it. Things like planter boxes will also be modular, not only allowing you to choose their texture and height, but by combining multiple side by side, they will merge into one to create whatever shapes you desire. If hedge mazes aren't your style, perhaps planter box mazes will be more your speed. And speaking of maze, yes, you will be able to plant corn in those planter boxes, both inside and out, along with any other crop you can plant in your fields. There's also an immense amount of customization for things like staircases, beds, table decorations, of which, my goodness, there's a lot, lamps, pillows, lamps, chairs, lamps, tables, lamps, lamp shades, and did I mention lamps? Customization doesn't end with furniture though. Oh no. Say hello to some Sims-like building, where you don't just get a prefab house, but instead get to build it yourself piece by piece. For those that dislike the idea of that though, I'm fairly certain there will still be prefab options at your disposal. For everyone else though, modular building pieces like walls, floors, roofs, doorways, and window frames can be used, followed by filling in the gaps with actual doors and windows of your choosing, resulting in some pretty neat layout options. 1 story, 2, maybe even more, building on flat ground or on a steep hillside, All of this seems possible, and that's incredibly exciting to me, especially after seeing what a finished house exterior can look like. All of this is obviously still a major work in progress, but you've seen the level of customization for some furniture items, so I can only imagine what we'll have access to when they're done with this. Now, I must warn you for this next section, if you are prone to negative reactions at the sight of absolutely adorable animals, I strongly urge you to look away now. If not, remember that piglet that we showed earlier? Well, it's not alone. For quite a few other animals, we have not only babies, but male and female adult variants, including some of the more obvious animals like chickens, all of which look incredibly shocked in this image for whatever reason. Cows, including not only dairy cows, but dairy cows, or bulls, I suppose. Horses with embarrassment, intrigue, and attitude. We also have llamas with a bit of RBF, turkeys, of which the baby looks absolutely adorable, and sheep, presumably with the female pictured on top and the male with horns on the bottom. We've also seen some sketches of ducks, and I know there will be more farm animals added, but that's all we've seen so far, with the exception of some concept art of birds that we'll see flying around the island, most likely, as well as some fish that we'll of course be able to catch. This is still a farm sim though, after all, so we cannot forget about the farming component. When FarmFolks was first conceptualized and announced, complex farming mechanics were absolutely in the plans. Things like crop rotation, various fertilizers, hybrid crops, varied buffs given to nearby plants, encouraging you to kind of diversify your farm layouts, pests, and more. I'm happy to say that while many other things about FarmFolks have changed, this is one thing that has stayed the same. They've already confirmed that fertilizers, pesticides, and diseases will be present, and that crops will have a quality rating depending on how well they're taken care of. But they've also recently announced that there will also be a genetic system, allowing for varied generations of plants, crossbreeding, and more. For example, the eggplant, or aubergine, depending on where you live, on the left looks exactly like what you'd expect to see from an eggplant, but you can also get albino and pink variants as well, and I'm sure many others. And for tomatoes, well, you can see for yourself. I don't even know what colors you would call these, but they look kind of cool. I don't know what other characteristics will be unique to these plants, other than color, but they'll not only be worth more when sold, but you can also try for specific colors of plants by crossbreeding them, mixing, for example, a blue and red tomato to get a purple one. We're not done yet though. The complexity continues. Take a look at these seed packets, for example. All of these have the game's logo in one corner, a non-functional QR code in another, and yes, I did pull out my phone to test them, they do not work, some random gibberish in the bottom left, but in the bottom right, we have some interesting information, including temperature and moisture requirements. Now, the temperature could just be an arbitrary number and the seeds will be specific to a season, like how most other farm sims handle it, but it could also be more complex than that, without defined seasons in which a particular crop can grow, but rather a temperature range that changes day by day that they need to be planted and harvested within. As for the moisture requirements, I assume this will indicate how often a crop will need water. Instead of watering your crops every single day, as is common in farm sims, they might need to be watered multiple times per day, or every third day, for example. If that sounds too tedious for you, well, I would agree. But that is why there will be ways to automate the watering process. To start out, we'll have a backpack-mounted water supply, as if we're playing Super Mario Sunshine, but with crops, and an attached hose with which to spray our crops down with. Eventually, we'll be able to replace this with a more automated process. The details of that, though, have yet to be revealed. Automating the watering process, though, would free up more time to explore what is going to eventually be a beautiful island, surrounded by water and filled with plenty of places to explore and creatures to see, most of which will be fantasy in nature. They haven't even shown off the map yet, as what we've seen so far is what they refer to as their prototype island, where they've been testing everything and taking all these screenshots and videos. But the plant life and foliage, the trees, the wild animals, all of those are going to come together to make a gorgeous island. And if they don't, well, you could bet that those of us that have access to the alpha and beyond, myself included, will give our honest feedback about it. So, what's coming next? They're working on adding farm animals to the game, as well as kitchen furniture, which will support an entire cooking system, to include cooking food on various appliances, storing that food in refrigerated or unrefrigerated storage, when you're done, dishwashing, also the ability to serve dinner and feed others, food spoiling mechanics, and all of this will have an impact on the environment. I have no idea how that's going to work, but I'm definitely intrigued. And lastly, and I had no idea we were this close to this, but they plan to open up a closed alpha playtest for their quote-unquote alpha backers sometime in March or April of this year. That is very close. As for who that includes, I have no idea with how confusing the past of FarmFolks has become, but as soon as I know more, I'll be sure to share. FarmFolks is still a long way from completion, but what's there now has me excited. Cautiously so, but excited nonetheless, and I hope you are too. Whether you're excited or not though, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the game in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to leave a like, and if you're new here, consider subscribing for new game announcements and development updates like this. My name's DoctorDDub, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Until next time, as always, take care.